Okay, before we jump into today's show, I have something really important that I want to talk to you about. I'm working on a really kind of a top secret project, something that I'm really passionate about that I think is going to help a lot of people. And I wanted to see if I could get your help. Now, I'm not going to talk about exactly what this project is, but let's just say it's specifically designed for people who do not yet have a real estate business. They want to be in real estate. They love the idea of starting a wholesaling or a flipping or a buy and hold kind of a business. They've been listening to my podcasts or other podcasts, and they really want to get started, but there's something holding them back. There's something that's keeping them from doing it. It could be their own self-doubt. It could be friends and family telling them they're crazy. It could be as simple as they just don't have a plan. They don't know where to start. They don't even know what to do first. Like, how do I start this journey? I want to help with that. And by you reaching out to me and telling me that's who you are, that you're that person who wants a real estate investing company, whether it be a side hustle or you want to do this full time, you want it to be your main thing. Either way, if you haven't gotten started and something's holding you back, I don't care what it is. Could be, like I said, you, could be your family, could be your spouse, could be just lack of knowledge. Like you just don't know what to do first. You don't know how to start, or maybe you don't even know what it is you want to do in real estate. You don't know if you want to flip. You don't know if you want to be a wholesaler. You don't know if you want to buy rentals. If you fall into any of those categories and you want my help with it, I am offering that to you right now. All you have to do is go to mike@juststartrealestate.com and put in the subject line help, and I will reach out to you. I don't care if you've never done anything before. If you're completely green and you don't have a clue as to where to get started, that's the person that I'm looking for. And maybe you do know what you want to do. Maybe you know exactly what you want to do in real estate, but still something's holding you back. You have some fear or something. I want to help you get unstuck. So please take advantage of this opportunity. Reach out to me, email me at mike@juststartrealestate.com, subject line help, and I will get right back to you. We'll set up a time, we'll hop on a call, and we'll chat. I want to help you get unstuck so you can move forward and realize your dream of having a real estate investing company. So reach out to me, use that email address, subject line help. I can't wait to hear from you. All right, guys, let's dive into the show.
Pili and I were two bartenders, and we took the steps to do this. So you can do this. I guarantee you, if you're listening and saying, I don't know if I can get into multifamily, you can, right? But it takes that first step, deciding with your mind, and then you'll have the actual steps to do that, right? And we'll help you create a plan, take action, and then create the life that you deserve.
You're listening to the Just Start Real Estate Podcast. If you're serious about your real estate investing business and need real answers, you are in the right place. And now, your host, Mike Simmons.
All right, guys, thank you for joining me on the show today. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. I appreciate that you chose this show to listen to as opposed to all the other shows out there. There are no other shows in real estate, right? Just this one. No, I'm kidding. I know there are, and I know you chose me, and I like that. I really do. So today I've got a good one for you guys. I have a good friend of mine on. His name is Jason. He is an absolute rock star in multifamily. And I'm able to bring his story to you, which is very inspiring. Jason and his wife, Pili, are friends of mine. I've known them for a long time. I met them about 3 or 4 years ago, and these guys are just great. And they're good people, but in addition to being great people, they're just really, really successful. Like, they know what they're talking about. And they did the flipping thing, the wholesaling thing for a while, but they really love multifamily, and they love how they can scale that and really make generational wealth and change the lives of their families forever. And they've just put together an amazing business. And he was talking about that a little bit in this discussion that we had, and also something that he's going to be part of later this month, an event that's free that you have to check out. He is just going to dump knowledge on you, not only in this episode, but at the event in a few weeks. He's just going to dump knowledge on you. And again, it's free, guys. So if you at all care about multifamily, if that's anything that you're interested in, you're going to hear from a guy right now who went from being a bartender to owning over 850 units. Just an amazing trajectory and very, very smart people who I happen to know personally and I can vouch for. These guys are the real deal. So without any further ado, I give you Jason Yarusi. All right, Jason, thank you for doing this, man. I appreciate you jumping on here with me and taking the time out of your schedule. So welcome to Just Start Real Estate.
Yeah, excited to be here, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. Just a little background. Jason and I are friends. We've known each other for some years now. So this isn't like a lot of people I interview. I don't know them before I interview them, and I'm kind of discovering. I know a lot about you. So I'm going to ask you questions that I really know the answer to in some cases, but I want people to get a better sense of who you are, because you and Pili, who is your wife and also a friend of mine, you guys have created something pretty amazing. And the route you took was really interesting and kind of a really inspiring and fun story at the same time, if that makes sense. Inspiring and fun. But you guys started off doing not real estate and not necessarily like just crushing it like you are now. Can you tell folks a little bit about how, before real estate, what were you doing? What was your life like prior to getting involved in real estate? What kind of things were you up to and how were you making your money?
Like most people, we were just figuring it out. And that's how Pili and I honestly connected, is that and in part of figuring it out, there was this bar in New York City that was out in a barge, a pretty wild place. And lo and behold, this 23-year-old Hawaiian girl ended up becoming the bar manager. I randomly met a guy while I was working over in Germany named Joel. And Joel just happened that when we both lived in New York City, and so went back to New York City to be working at said bar. So Joel invited me over and said, hey, this bar, which is only open during the summer, needs some work on what also is a boat that's attached to it. You want to come over and do some construction work? Sure, Joel, why not? I'm here, I am. So, part of a foray of jobs that you do when you're trying to quote unquote figure it out. I go over there and who do I meet? But Pili. So I meet Pili. This is, of course, years ago now. And that was our first time that we met each other. And from there, we started working together at that bar. Pili moved away. She was an actress, went out to California for a while, came back to New York, and then went to Hawaii. Well, Pili and I were in a lot of different paths separately from there, but throughout that journey, we became a couple. And we came back to New York City. We're working at that bar, and Hurricane Sandy happened in New Jersey, on the Northeast. Yeah, there was just devastation, right? Yeah. Well, my dad had this business that he still has, been doing it for years of moving and lifting houses. So my brother, who was working for me at the time, Pili and myself, we moved out to New Jersey to help the family business. And great, but definitely not the full route of where we wanted to be over the course of our life. So we moved out to New Jersey, helped Dad. It was a great couple of years, but throughout that process, Pili was pregnant with our first child. We were just saying, man, we got to find a way that we can just get back to just controlling our time, because everything we've done up to date was you do, you get, right? So active produces money, right? But in that part, you're basically trading, time for money, and that's a lot. So how do we do that? Well, of course, what we thought was the logical approach would be real estate. However, the first steps, Pili got her real estate license. We started flipping, wholesaling, and here we are, busy helping my dad, where if we had 25 hours in a day, we could use them. Yeah. And now we're doing all these other activities. So we just created chaos on top of chaos on top of having a child. Right. So it fits like that perfect puzzle, which it wasn't. Well, it took us to Pili met a friend who was buying some rentals out of state. Actually, we looked at that and said, that could be interesting. And so we just followed suit, except for instead of buying single family homes, we said, well, let's look at buying like a 2-family and a 3-family, and we'll look at that from that capacity. Yeah. And we did that, brought these properties and just used what we had, which was a background in just managing a lot of different things, right, over our course, and to put together a team, put together a process, put together a plan. And lo and behold, we get these rental properties, we get them fixed up, we get them rented, and next thing you know, so be it, money starts showing up. And we go, whoa, okay, here we are in New Jersey. We're not actively doing anything besides just, of course, we've set up the process and look what's happening. So logical thing was, well, how do we do this, 10, 20, 100 times over? And we quickly realized that was just, there wasn't a scale to that you could do. Now you can do that, but of course the writing of the wall is that we were going to now create a creative chaos process. Yeah. So we said, what else is there? And I saw someone buying apartment buildings. And I said, well, that is interesting. That would be exactly what we're looking to do, except instead of doing it where we have, 10, 20, 30 duplexes all around town, all around the state, we now could buy one building that could be 20, 50, 100 units. And we said, okay, let's look at that. And that caught Pili off guard, where we had that talk about, because the mind is that first stage. And so we started looking at that. Yeah. How can we do that? Who else was doing it successfully? And we went all in on that. And that was back in 2016, and learned the process, saw who was doing it proactively, saw who was doing it successfully. And we went from buying those 3s and 4s, going from a 3 unit up to our first purchase back in 2017, which was a 94 unit asset in Louisville, Kentucky. And since then, we've accumulated a little over, 850 units across 4 states. And that's been everything that we've done throughout, setting up processes to make communities that are better performing communities, which of course make them operate better, create better revenue, and then create better returns for our investors.
So you guys went down the flipping and wholesaling route for a while, right? Where did that fall? Did that fall after you started buying your first multifamilies? Did you divert and kind of realize that wasn't what you wanted? Or did you do that before you got into all the multifamily stuff?
I wish there was that clean break, because of course it would be easier, but you're kind of figuring things out. And sometimes the hardest thing is to let go, even though you need to, right? So you're kind of hanging on, still doing some flipping and wholesaling, and then things are going, even though you have to go out, and then finally you say, okay, enough, right? And so we did flips up until 2018, trailing a little bit into 19, and that was it. But we knew the writing was on the wall. We were doing a bunch of heavy, intensive projects. So our things were not 30 days in and out. Our projects were made 7-8 months. Yeah. So we had a couple that were already in the works, and we said, okay, focus has its own format right there. And so many times in life, we think that if you focus on something, you limit your opportunities, but you actually open up a world of opportunities, because now you can see the whole picture instead of having yourself engaged in different sides of things. Yeah,
it's counterintuitive for a lot of people. I agree with you. Most people think I'm going to say yes to everything, so I maximize my opportunities. But what you end up diluting yourself. You're not great at anything. Nothing gets done at a high level, and you're constantly always on this rat race trying to get things done and feel like you're not really making what you should make. So I think it's safe to say you guys could have absolutely crushed it if you would have stayed flipping houses and wholesaling, but you decided to go the multifamily route. Why was that a more, and we know a lot of the same people, and not everybody the same, but a lot of people I know. There are people that flip houses at a super high level and they make really great money and it's a big business. Why was multifamily more attractive to you than just building this crazy monster flipping business?
I think it came down to infrastructure, right? So from our point, we had to look at our market, and you even looking at our economies of scale. So we were in New Jersey currently, the average cost of a home, we could be $400,000 to $100,000 on a home. So you have a lot of money out front, a lot of holding costs, typically a different approach when you're going to flipping and wholesaling. And honestly, our best suit was not having an active engaged process, because we found that when we were close into it, we would get ourselves more involved and slow down the process. So for us to go say, okay, we're going to invest in 1,000 miles away, where we're forced to set up the team, use what we know, how to manage a big group and put together a process and really just improve a business. Yeah. That's going to better suit us, because there's no way that we're going to be able to actively throw ourselves into the mix 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So it also gives us our time back. Nothing wrong with flipping and wholesaling, but again, you're looking at that and saying, okay, this is a part where, again, you have to do to make. Where apartment buildings, you can do one apartment building. And I know people that will buy an apartment building and they could set their family up for generations, because you can benefit from cash flow, depreciation, debt pay down, tax advantages, forced depreciation. There's just a million ways to win there.
Yeah, that's true. And that's something that escapes a lot of people. And I think one of the barriers for people, and I don't think this was for you necessarily, although maybe behind the scenes it was a little bit, you're a pretty confident guy, you go after what you want. How much of multifamily were you afraid of what you didn't know before you got started? Was there any apprehension? Were you like, this could be a little bit crazy? It's bigger dollars, right? You can, and depending on where you're in the country, you can buy houses for $40,000, $50,000, put a couple, 10, 20,000 into them. And it's still a lot of money, but it's different, right? How did you gear yourself up to be ready to do this?
And that's part of every conversation. There's always that imposter syndrome, and that probably never goes away, because I continue to scale. So if we go after $1 million asset, That may be one level. Then you go to 5 million, then you go to 10 million, 20 million. So if you look at that at each point, right, you're going to have that different stage of imposter syndrome. But when you look at the asset and the business itself, and you get back to even our bar and restaurant days, or even any of that part, you're more vulnerable when it's a smaller property, right? Because let's just look at an apartment building. If it's a 5-unit property, 2 vacancies now, we're at 60% occupancy. We may not be able to cover our debt service. We're barely making any money, and we're going to be less desirable to a bank. 100 units, sure, bigger numbers, but now we're going to be more attractive to the bank. We got 2 vacant units, we're 98% occupied. Yeah. We have more potential tenants that can help us across the board, and we can also move the lever more. So if we go and it's all original plumbing and the toilets and and faucets in this 5-unit, we change them all out, may not make much of a difference. And if we did it in a single family house, no one's going to pay us because we did that. You may get a minimal blip. But if you do that across 100-unit property, potentially maybe you'll cut your water down by $15,000, $20,000. Yeah. And based on the value with the cap rate, that may improve the property value by $300,000. Yeah. So you're able to do things that move the lever more, just based on doing little things to improve operations. So you get away from thinking of it like, let me buy this real estate property and say, hey, here's a business that has opportunity. And the opportunity is either being met or not met. And if it's not being met, what can I do today to meet the potential of this property, to take this, whether it would be, an amusement park, a golf course, a franchise, or an apartment building? Where is it underperforming? How can I go in there to improve the building or improve the management, or potentially improve both to create more revenue? Yeah. And the good thing about this apartment building is we have built-in customers who are our tenants. Yeah. And if we can meet the needs and make this a better place for tenants who, trust me, just because they're living in a bad building doesn't mean they're psyched to live there. That's just their opportunity now. Yeah. Well, now you can make this a building a better place. It's going to make the community better. It's going to make the building perform better, which is going to generate more revenue, which is going to now increase the value of the property and make better returns for your investors. So it's this full cycle. Yeah. And when you get your mind to say, okay, it is just numbers. It really is. You're adding more zeros. But the more you do, the more it builds into this being something that makes it more beneficial for the larger you can be ready to do.
How big of a learning curve was it for you to go from single family to multifamily? Like, how long, if you could just think back, like, did it take you months to get yourself to where you felt confident? Did you just dive into your first one and figure it out? Like, what does that learning curve look like?
So the best part is to find people that are doing this successfully, right? Because we can all get the big picture, right? So flipping houses, I'm sure people understand the big points. Yeah. Find a house, do repairs, put it on the market, sell for more, right? But then there's all that little in between, right? Of that are those questions that are the unknowns that maybe you can't Google, and maybe you don't have anybody on your team to ask, and that's when you lose the weeks. Yep. Same thing with apartment buildings, right? You could go into the part of just anything from, how to prepare the LOI, how to work with a syndication lawyer, like how to prepare for SEC filings, or any of these questions that just seem like, okay, and once you understand them, they're just part of the big picture, but they may paralyze you from taking action for those weeks in between. Yeah. And that's where you're going to lose your time, because you may not be able to go out there and find on YouTube or to Google something that in reality, if you have the right team member, could be a 30-second text to get an answer to be back on the track that may really sideline you for 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. So for us, when we really made the decision in, say, mid of 2016, we had our first deal mid of 2017. We were close in some, but we were being conservative to the point. But we figured that the steps were, here's our goal. We want to buy a 100-unit apartment building. What are the steps that need to be taken to get there? Yeah. First, understand the mindset, understand the terms, understand how to talk the talk. Second, understand where we want to invest and why. Third, what kind of property are we going to be looking for? Fourth, what kind of team is it going to take? And this could be our internal and external team. So internal team may be other people to help us underwrite or find deals. External could be, creating broker relationships, finding a property manager or insurance people. Next, build our investor database. So we need to have these talks with investors, and then underwriting deals and making offers, which leads us eventually to having the pieces in front of us that we can go close that deal. And what happens is we build it typically where we assume that the first step is to jump to the top of the mountain. So first step, be at the top of Mount Everest. And then we scare ourselves from ever starting because we don't think about the first step, right? Yeah. And so first step, we want a 100-unit apartment building. but what do we do? What are those actionable steps? Okay, if the first one is to maybe identify a market, well, let's pick 5 markets and then start breaking down which one's going to be most beneficial. Yeah. Okay, 100-unit apartment building. What kind of property management company would best suit this building in this area?
Yeah.
Investors, who is in my network, and how can I talk to them to see if there's an opportunity that will help them along?
Yeah.
Banks, okay, can I get a connection from maybe a property manager or another investor that can tell me a bank or a couple banks I can speak with that may have the right loan opportunities? And then it becomes real because you're building this track of wins and little wins that now lead you to the top of Mount Everest, which so happens to be this 100-unit apartment building.
Man, that first of all, it's a great breakdown of how to approach anything, frankly, but that's exactly right. I think you nailed it, right? You articulated it well, but you nailed it. People look at the mountaintop and go, too big, too tall, can't even imagine it, right? But you don't have to get to the top in the first step. You have to get to the first step, right? So you guys have now been doing this, like you said, I think you said you bought your first one in 2016, 17?
Right.
Yeah. So you've been doing this now for 3 or 4 years. Like you said, you've accumulated over 850 units in 4 different states. And I know that you've also started educating people. You've started teaching people how you do this. And you won't say this probably, but I'll say it. I know a lot of people that you know, and I know people that are very, very successful in real estate. And they all agree that you are just a stone cold, like, killer expert. Like you're the man, like you are the guy when it comes to multifamily. And so I think that it's the fact that you're helping people now is amazing because there's a lot of information out there. Multifamily is no exception. You can find information, you can Google stuff, but the quality of the information is always the question mark, right? But I know that you've learned this trade, you're doing it actively, you are considered to be the best of the best in the crowds that I know and people that have a lot of respect for. And you started helping people do this. Can you talk a little bit about why you started helping people? Why did you, because I'm sure you're busy enough. You have kids and, wife and you have all the things going on. What is it? Why did you start helping people with this?
And thank you for that. Well, ultimately it's a team sport. And so many times we want to go at it alone, right? And I've seen that, coming from a family of Italians, right? We always think we can do it best or better, but when you look at the capacity of what it is, and of the syndications we've done, we've probably done half of them where it's just Pili and I, another half where it's been a team. And sure, we got it done when it's just Pili and I, but it's been more beneficial and more gratuitous when it's everyone together because we're all functioning and we're all serving a bigger purpose, right? We all have roles. We're all doing a bigger duty to really just do what it is. And we'll continue to expand by having the relationships and the goals forward. Yeah. And where it is with people that they get stuck is they feel like they have to accomplish all these things by themselves just to get started. Yeah. Where in fact, if you can learn where potentially your superpower is or where you'd like to be, and you can serve a role in a bigger purpose, that at least gets you started in the game that maybe you at one day will scale up to another role, or maybe this is the role that's going to help you reach your goals, right? Yeah. We don't know. So a lot of this was saying, okay, let's help people figure out these steps to do it because we did this and we made the mistakes we've made to have the curve we did to get there. Yeah. And luckily, we continued to make connections where we were able to get good answers and then learn better questions. And our goal here with this was to say, anyone can do this when you start making a plan to do that. And our goal with everything we've been looking at is how can we make this a straight line or a straighter line for you so you don't have to do this bell curve to get to the eventual goal of where you want to be. Yeah. And that's why we started presenting these events. That's why we started to have these groups, these meetings. That's why we started really talking with investors saying, okay, here's an actual plan. You can do that. Yeah. And we have the virtual summit coming up. It's the Multifamily Virtual Summit. It's March 25th and 26th. That's the event we are referencing here. Yep. It's going to be a great event. We have 12 people that are going to be speaking here that are actively doing multifamily. Yeah. Now, here's the part. Everyone's going to have their superpower. There are people that are great at finding leads. There are just mortgage bankers that are just great at finding you the best loans to fit your multifamily needs. Yep. There are people raising money. There are people, of course, talking about structuring deals. There are syndication lawyers teaching you how the do's and don'ts of putting together your first syndication. So we're going to have all different formats covered here, from people going from single family to multifamily, from scaling up from your first property to 1,000 units, right? It can all be covered. And where it goes to show is that this will be a very actionable summit. Yeah. And of course, it's free. But you'll come here and you'll leave with actionable steps that you can take to either start your multifamily journey or take your multifamily journey to that next level.
So if you heard that, guys, if you listen, you said 12 people speaking. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it's about 12 speakers.
Okay,
throughout.
about 12 people speaking, various superpowers. It's virtual, right? So if you're concerned about COVID and traveling still, you got you covered there. And then the key, though, guys, is 12 people speaking. It's virtual. You can do it from your house. You're going to leave with actionable content. Like, this isn't just people getting up there and throwing out philosophy. It's just people who are actually doing the business, giving you really good actionable stuff. But here's the key. It's free. Like, it's free. Like, how do you not, if you have any interest or even think that you might be going in that direction, maybe you flip houses, you're whatever, wholesaler, and you're like, you know what, I don't know, this wholesaling thing might be something. I would love to know more. Like, if you don't go to this event, I don't know what's wrong with you. It's the March 25th and 26th. How do people find it? How do they get tickets, or how do they get involved?
So we'll have the link here, right? So there's a multifamily virtual summit, and then I'll make sure I give you the exact link to where it is there. But from that said, being, if you are saying, okay, I don't know if I'm ready for this yet, I promise you'll leave somewhere here with nuggets that will make your real estate business better that you're currently in. Because we're all looking at this from a real estate perspective, how to improve businesses, because that's what we're doing with each of these apartment buildings. So if you're thinking, you're saying, I don't know if this is the right time, you will leave here with actual content. If you're in a business right now and you don't know if this is going to be the right step to you will leave with actual content to improve your business. So that point, this will have all kinds of parts. How to have your investor outreach, how to look at the markets that you're in from an analytical approach, understand the metric you should be looking at from your market, whether it's a market you stay in or you want to grow into, how to source your team, right? We all need to continue to improve and build our teams, how to talk to banks. So there's going to be so many different components we'll talk to. Of course, the focus is going to be multifamily, but if you're on the fence, whether or not the right time for you, definitely come here. It's a free event. Like Mike said, you're going to come away with nuggets that lead you from there to get out to that next part. And it is mfvirtualsummit.com/MFLVS. That will be a mouthful, but I'm sure Mike's going to give you that one. And I did not create that link because I probably wouldn't know how to do it.
Yeah, I will give you... Yeah, I'll have the link on the show notes. I'm going to email it out to everybody. But if you got a chance to write that down, write it down. I'll repeat it again before we're done. But listen, man, like I said, no smoke being blown here. I don't have to say this, Jason, but the people that I respect most in business all tell me you are the best in the business at multifamily. And so to me, that's the only thing I need to hear. I am not doing multifamily right now. It's not part of of what I do. It's not part of my model, but I'm going to be there because I am very interested in I want to go in that direction at some point. And I know this is where I need to be to do that. So, and I'm blessed that I have access to you and Pili, probably maybe more access than the average person potentially, but still, if you can get to this event and benefit from not just Jason and Pili, but the other people they're going to have speaking, because these are folks that you've used or whatever, like they're in your network. So we know that they're legit. If you guys go to the event, I don't care if you're in multifamily or not, it's free. It's the best of the best putting it on. And if you ever think that there could be an interest in your business and the way you're going to get into multifamily, you have to be there. So go check it out. We'll have the link in the show notes. I'm going to send it out in an email. But listen, Jason, I know you're a super busy guy. We kind of did this. We had late in the game. We agreed to jump on here and talk about this because I was so excited about it. So thank you for doing that. Give Pili my best. And I can't wait to see you on the 25th.
Yeah, I'm psyched too. And just think, if you think, man, this just blows my mind, it throws my mind up. Pili and I were two bartenders, and we took the steps to do this. So you can do this. I guarantee you, if you're listening and saying, I don't know if I can get into multifamily, you can, right? But it takes that first step, deciding with your mind, and then you'll have the actual steps to do that, right? And we'll help you create a plan, take action, and then create the life that you deserve.
That's the key. Connecting the dots so people understand what they have to do to get started. Dude, thanks for doing this, man. You're the best. I can't wait to see you here shortly in the event. And like I said, give my best to Pili. You guys are wonderful people, and can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Jason and Pili are absolutely crushing it in multifamily. And I watch these guys grow from basically nothing into what they are now. I was there, I got to be a spectator on that journey, and I know that they would have been successful in anything that they wanted to do, but they chose this, and now they're choosing to share their knowledge with you for free. Guys, go and check it out. The URL again is mfvirtualsummit.com. mfvirtualsummit.com. MF as in multifamily, mfvirtualsummit.com. We will put that in the show notes. We'll put it in the email, but go and grab your spot now. You cannot afford to miss this. If you even think multifamily is something you might be interested in, maybe at some point, you got to go. If you know it's something you're interested in, you're trying to figure it out, you definitely need to be there. So go check it out, mfvirtualsummit.com. Guys, get out there and make things happen. All right, until next time.